number 26 pick, honored in Georgia Tech. May very well be the starting center for the Texans in the NFL. We saw McDonald make a play tonight. Marlon Klein. The rest of the group, they didn't get Lewis Vaughn.
All right, so it's that time. Now, I just want to start off with say good evening to everyone, first of all, and thanks for everybody for being here. I wanted to start this off because last time we had a situation, man, I wanted everybody to know what our one goal is. Um, TGN's, because when we talk about different people, different perspectives, and one goal, TGN's one goal is to strengthen the self-efficacy of its members, and facilitate the growth. Hang on, we got somebody coming in and facilitate the growth of others, based upon what it is they want to do. We do this through dialogue, sharing of empowering content, and all these things are done through the GPDA. All right, well, that being said, we're getting already coming in. Topic for this evening. It could be said that things are relatively easier than decades ago, and as American citizens, we're privileged and we have a great deal of assistance programs and education and resources available to us. So we asked the question to the people here tonight, or to the people out there, can the average person still get ahead? And what I mean by the average person is what we're talking about is, can we actually have meaningful employment, home ownership, vehicle, decent health care, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, when we ask these things, we're asking of the people that are here. Can we actually say these things about ourselves? With that being said, I'll leave for everyone to just kind of introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Winfrey Lee. I'm here in Columbus, Georgia, General Sales Manager of a Toyota dealership here. I'm glad to be here with you guys. Ponder about that question: can the average person still get ahead in America? And I'm ready to move forward. Just wanted to step in and introduce myself. I've been in the car business for several years. I got a master's in education and psychology, and it's got a business degree. A BS in business from Western Carolina University. So I look forward to heartfelt and warm discussion tonight.
All righty. Well, thanks, Winfrey.
I should have went first. I can't follow that up.
You're not by yourself.
Threw out his resume. Now that's a resume. My name is Tommy Parker. I'm here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I know Johnny from the car business. I've had 25 years experience selling cars, and just woke up one day and decided it wasn't something I wanted to do. I got an opportunity to start a business as a real estate photographer. So that's what I do now. I take pictures of houses. So I'm definitely blessed to be able to do what I do. I kid most of the people that I'm they're taking pictures of their houses, because being here in Fayetteville, probably 60 to 70% of the houses that I'm taking pictures of are military. And I mean, they ask me if I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm like, absolutely. I take pictures of houses. You dodge bullets for a living. I would much rather do what I do. And they all laugh, and it's like, yeah, we would too. So, but yeah, we're here, I guess, talk about what you guys said. Can you still make it? Can you still get ahead? Here in the United States. And it's I don't think it's easy, and I don't know if there's a right answer or a wrong answer. It's just it's a great question to ask.
Good evening. My name is Dee Dee Galan. I am in Illinois. How I know Johnny, Winfred Lee, is from the car business. Currently, I'm doing a lot of volunteer work, political, NAACP, on and on and on. So, and currently I'm not doing anything, but I'm just trying to do what I can. The topic of today, can you get ahead? I am one of those, you have to utilize your resources, but I'm here for the topic tonight. And so, yeah, I cannot follow either one of you right now.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Mr. Barrett, I'd really like to know who Mr. Barrett is. I don't know if you can hear me, Mr. Barrett. I'll ask him to unmute, or we'll move right on. Ms. Pemberton, are you there?
I am. Hello. I'm Simone Pemberton out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm not from the car business, so it seems like that's a theme here. I am in real estate, so Tommy, you and I have that in common a little bit. And that's it. I guess we'll get into the topic once everybody's finished with the intro.
Last, but definitely not least, one of my favorite people in the whole world. Ms. Fuller, are you there?
All right, we know you demand excellence out of everybody, including yourself. What needs to happen for this defense to play to your standards?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to style of play.
Ms. Fuller?
There's X's and O's, and there's thinking is but ultimately it comes down to guys.
Okay. Well, that's Angel. Perhaps she's busy. Gets a chance to come in here. Well, go get right into that topic. You said something, Tommy. You said it's not easy. I'd like to know what you meant by that.
I mean, I've got it made. I don't have like a lot of the problems that a lot of the people have as far as the situation that I'm in, but you watch the news, and that's probably my biggest downfall is watching the news. But you watch the news and you hear people talking about food going up. You go to the gas station, and I put gas in my truck just 2 times in the last 3 days, and put it in a half a tank just because like I travel, I go out of town. And so I knew I'm gonna have to put it in. So I just go ahead and stop and fill up. So I'm good. And I mean, you put $55, $60 a clip, and that's filling up from a half a tank,
No.
So, you do that, and then you're going to the grocery store and whatever that bill runs you, I mean, our family spends $2,500 a month at the grocery store, and that's more than probably a lot of families make. Maybe not here in Fayetteville, but just across the country. So, I mean, it's got to be tough just trying to make ends meet. And then you do watch the news, and I mean, I guess because I'm in the car business did so long in the car business, anytime they mention, news about that, I kind of perk up to listen. And the last two pieces I've heard, probably 3 or 4 years ago, like a year out of COVID, 2 years out of COVID, the banks were complaining about all the money they had lent on cars during COVID because the price of cars went through the roof, and people were borrowing money. And I guess the banks kind of took I don't know, but I guess they kind of took the training wheels off and just let dealerships finance what they wanted to on cars. And all these people are like past due, and the banks didn't know what to do, but they didn't want the car because the market had adjusted, and the cars that the banks were like upside down in what the people owed. So they were doing everything they could do to work with the people instead of repoing the cars to keep the people in the cars, to keep them paying for them, because they knew if they brought them back and sold them, they were going to lose their shirt on it, And then I heard in a piece the other day that the average car payment on a new car in the country today is over $700 a month, So, I mean, when I started 25 years ago in 94, the average car payment was $300 a month, and people complained about it then. So it's like, how in the world are you paying $700 a month average to buy a new car? Groceries going up, gas has gone up, and you watch the news and you hear like what's going on up in the same area we were talking, Rocky Mount, where the town of Rocky Mount mismanaged money and just about went broke, and now they're taking it out on the citizens. They ran the price of utilities up, and people are getting hit with $400 and $500 utility bills when they used to be $150 and $200, and now they can't pay their utility bills, and the city's not working with them. They're cutting people's power off, and I mean, they just had a whole family die because their power was cut off, and they bought a generator and put the generator too close to the house and got carbon monoxide poisoning and died because their power had been cut off. I mean, that's going on the news right now. They're talking about it. So
I kind of sort of want to just piggyback. I feel like I always try to look at the root of the problem before it, like, how did we get here? How did we get to where we are right now? And a lot of people, look at previously, no, things weren't quite as high. We were capable of managing, even though like cars might have been high. I remember what happened in car sales when the banks just stopped buying cars altogether. And I said, well, there's no reason for me to drive from Sanford to Fayetteville each day and just twiddle my thumbs, especially when, when you're in a military town and they're not even buying cars. But what I want to say is it kind of sort of all works together. And how did we get here? How did we get where we are today? And I hate to bring politics in it, and I hate to, the mindset of other people of how we got here. And that is my overall stance of everything is greed has gotten us here. A lot of things have just gotten out of proportion and the division in this world, but I just look at it from so many different angles. And maybe I'm getting off track, but I think it all kind of intertwines.
it does.
So
You're not getting off track.
so when I see a family that's not capable, this is why I volunteer right now. Okay. I could probably go out and find a job, but nobody's hiring. Like they're saying they have jobs, and I'm qualified. I'm very articulate. I know how to do so many different things. And but I look at families. This is why I volunteer. I just try to help who I can because I could be that person. But people aren't thinking in that manner. How can I get this from that person? How can I, like, it's how did we get here? So I leave that kind of sort of open for someone to like piggyback because I can go so many different ways, but I try to help. And that's where the resources come in. I try to talk to other people to find out what they're doing because somebody else might, I can help someone else, but it's just networking also. So like I said, how did we get here?
Where does your head go on what that's all about?
The road is long and winding. It's a bunch of bad mistakes or bad decisions leading up to this point. Not necessarily by us, but by leadership.
Well, here, when I go into this, the whole reason for this thought process is, again, what I was saying is to go back to that whole thing of building self-efficacy, the ability for us to be able to affect change, do the things that we need to do. Because the question's a good question. How do we get here? What is the basic narrative now? Politics does have a lot to do with it because here we are going into the midterms and we've got a lot of people trying to push people in certain directions so they will move in certain ways, so they will vote in certain ways, again, to affect policy that's going to affect your money and it's affect all these other things. But again, to the question, can the average person still get ahead? For me, I got to go back with what Tommy said was, yes, it's just difficult. It's difficult, but yet it's a lot easier than it was before. I'm doing a lot of volunteering as well. So Didi, the three of us got to get together because I think we'd make one hell of a team. But anyhow, I'm talking about you, me, and Winford. Tommy, you know where I sit with everything else. But my thing is always to go to self-efficacy. Don't let me eat up all the time. So you need to jump in when you can, party people.
Yeah,
right?
Johnny, somebody got some going on in the background.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, could they turn their TV down? Because it's distracting. I'm sorry.
Oh, is it? It's probably me.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad. Hold on one
At
second.
least he wasn't watching anything inappropriate.
No.
So I'll jump in, and I don't have AirPods, so can you hear me okay? Because it's just coming through my speakers. Okay, so the only one I think I know here is John, and he knows a bit of my story. Over a decade ago, I was also without work. I came from a corporate life and spent 18 months without a job, and started volunteering because I didn't want to be self-focused. It's really hard when you start running out of money, and then you get depressed and all of that. So I started volunteering, and that actually led to a political career, actually. So, but my answer is still the same: that the average person can get ahead. It is always going to be difficult life, period. There are going to be people in leadership there are some that are honest, there are some that are not. Obviously it's our responsibility as citizens to vote properly, and sometimes we vote for things that have a low bar, and sometimes we're experiencing the consequences of that. So and I'm not saying that on either side of the aisle. I'm just saying sometimes we'll vote because someone's a female or because they're a certain skin color or whatever, and that does not make you competent to lead a city, a state, a country. It doesn't matter what it is, but yet we do that often. And so that we have to own if we are one of the people who do that or just vote a certain way because there's a D or an R or a U or whatever behind the name. So, but in spite of politics, moving politics aside, and having the position of, or having been in the position of being without money, my last $100, and spending 18 months, and then growing out of that and struggling, and then overcoming, and then struggling, and it's part of life. I'm still a firm believer that we can, the average person, and I'm still considered quite average, the average person can still get ahead, but you have to work for it, and you can't just sit back and expect life to hand you everything. Not that anyone here, I don't believe actually that anyone here is of that mindset, but some people, actually quite a few people, are of the mindset of, if you don't give it to me, then I can't get it. And I just don't subscribe to that. I'm going to get it in spite of what you say. I'm going to get it. If that's what I'm after, then that's what I'm going after, which is why I don't believe that, that's why I do believe that an average person can still get ahead.
Yeah, and that question goes a long way, because when we break it down, can the average person get ahead? Back in the day, the old formula was, hey, get a job, work hard, buy a house, save, retire comfortably. But now that definition, as time changes, people change, as everything that you guys talk about change. Now it's more of along the lines as earn, control your expenses, develop valuable skills, eliminate destructive debt, acquire assets, create additional income, invest consistently, and protect what you build. So the question I throw out to the group is a question that we started the discussion with: what does getting ahead actually mean to people today?
Well, I want to dovetail off what Simone said, and coming in with how Winfred brought it in there, is that to me is what's changed. The definition has changed. To answer the question on my end, can the average person still get ahead? I'm with Simone and say yes. And I'm with Winfred when we say, hey, things have just changed. The game has changed, and again, going back with Simone, when we start talking about the political process, there are things that's been done to get people to move in a certain way. People have been promised certain things. What is the narrative now? The narrative that Winfred just gave, as far as, to me, that was great. That's something I can pass on to my kids. However, there are people out there that are telling you, like, no, you as an American should have X, Y, Z with a minimal amount of effort because you are entitled to this. And I think this is where we are right now, because the narrative is saying, hey, things are tough. Well, I'm here to tell you, going back again with Simone, not to just agree with everyone. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we'll disagree somewhere, but it's easier. It is a bit easier, but it's harder in our time. But if you go back 50 years and ask someone else, you know, how hard it was for their time, I wouldn't want to be in their time, if that makes sense. It's
Correct.
hard for me because I'm in my time. You know, it's hard for my kids because they're not going to be able to do the same thing I did in the same way that I did. Their thought process have to be different, but it has been easier for them to go to school. It has been easier to do certain things. And I feel like I had to point them in a certain direction to make sure that they could prosper. However, how much of the time do we spend coming through other people's thoughts and people sharing their thoughts and saying, this is how it needs to be in order for us to move in a certain direction, to vote in a certain direction? Because it's not just about voting, but it's just about people themselves. We're losing our self-efficacy is my thought process, because too many people are saying, this is how it should be, and they're removing you out of the equation. I'll do it for you. Or this is what should be done. It should be easy for you. Give me the power to make decisions for you. That's my big thing.
Johnny, were you at Leaf when we did Pacific Institute? Had you already?
I was a
Did you
facilitator.
miss that?
I was a facilitator
Okay.
for Pacific Institute.
I mean, the biggest thing I carried from that was whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And that all goes into what we're saying, what everybody's saying. You know, now, I apologize. There's 5 dogs in the house and they're at the front door barking. So, but anyway, that's pretty much it. And you brought up an interesting point in saying 50 years ago, it was definitely different. My dad tells a story when he was growing up, and it's been going back longer than 50 years ago. But my grandmother bought an ice box, or my grandfather and grandmother bought an ice box, and this was in the 50s. And they needed a car. So my grandmother went to work one day. When my grandmother went to work, my grandfather took the ice box to work and traded the ice box for a car at work so he could have transportation to get back and forth. And when he came home, he played hell from my grandmother for trading her brand new ice box for a car, you know. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, and refrigerators are expensive nowadays. I mean, you know, but they're still not quite as expensive as a car. Somebody shows up at a car dealership with a refrigerator and says, yeah, I'd like to trade this for a set of wheels. I mean, how quick would they get thrown out? You know,
I don't know, man.
so,
Not if they ran up on Winfrey.
yeah, well, so when Winford's a wheeler dealer, he put together something for him. But I mean, it's definitely different. But I still think whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. You'll never prove yourself wrong. So
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And that goes a lot where, you know, we talked about self-efficacy. So you know, the question here is, the average person, can the average person get ahead? And I don't watch politics too much. I know a lot about it. I was a big CNN guy, so I stayed on the news constantly, day in and day out. But yes, the average person can still get ahead. Yes, it's harder, but it's all about that self-efficacy and what that person in and of itself wants to do. I mean, is working hard is the thing to do now, or is it working smart is the thing to do now? So once we define what is getting ahead looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it acts like, then we can intelligently answer that question: can the average person still get ahead? Because if you look at it, based since 2004, the median income for all Americans has gone up. If you take all Americans and group it in a pot and say, hey, well, the median income for Americans has gone up, but yet the cost of living expenses has gone up as well. So long gone are the days where you can go to the gas station and pay 97 cents for a gallon of gas, when gas today is over $3-4. And then we look at it. So America has got us used to spending a lot of money. They got us used to it. They entrapped it in our mind. Hey, we have to spend this amount of money as prices of things, the cost of goods, everything goes up. They is leading us to believe that the value of so-called products and or procedures or products or whatever you produce has gone up as well. So we just have to understand that when we talk about self-efficacy and development and growing and who we are and who we wants to be, that we got to understand that if we want to keep up what the term is, keep up with the Joneses, we got to do our part, and we got to understand that, hey, it starts with us, it starts with family, it starts with community, it starts with, and as we grow and to understand how this thing works, because you got to look at it, man. The who is the biggest minority in the world or in the United States, but yet they don't have representation at the top. So there's an issue. There's a problem with that. You got one of the biggest minorities or group of minorities who control, who own everything. And when I say own, I mean as far as numbers and people. But yet there's no representation at the top for us to speak for our many voices and our many peoples that we have. So let's just take a deep dive and that can the average person really get ahead, or the average person get ahead? I don't consider myself average, but I do understand that the cost of and expenses of everything has gone up, and the cost of living has gone up, and so everything has gone up. So we just have to make sure that we doing our part in building our own self-efficacy in order to keep up with everybody else and not fall behind.
Isn't that capitalism? Isn't that capitalism? As wages go up, so are the prices of things will go up. You got more money, Winfred, I'm going to charge you more. Before I get into all that, Didi, go, you was moving. You know how Didi does, right? I miss you so much, lady. But she was moving.
No, everything he said is 100% correct. We always have to, we all are saying saying the same thing. It's about within. It's what's within. It's not what's going on around us. But when I look at people in a community, okay, I don't believe they're just sitting on their hands and just twiddling their thumbs. But are some people handed, sour apples all the time at some point? But it's choices that you make. It's the choices that you make. And so the self-advocacy, as you're saying, is the choices. Somebody might say, hey, I can eat, I forgot the guy. I follow the guy on Facebook. He's a billionaire. It's not too many of us are billionaires, but he said, hey, he wants to be, what did he say he wanted to be? He wanted to be something of the hood. Hold on. I can't even remember, but it made sense. He says, some people don't want to do what I do to become the billionaire, but it's not too many of them or us that look like him as billionaires because he didn't do what everybody else did. So you got to separate yourself also from people. That's what I think sometimes.
Well, I'm gonna open up the big old can of worms, because how much of what we're talking about is learned or conditioned into our thought process to believe a certain way and then move a certain way? Because as we're talking about this population or us specifically, what are we talking about? I'm led to believe we're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, I would say Black people.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so who is us? That's what I need to identify, because that's how I'm taking it.
Okay, well, let's just say, I'll say us, yeah, Black people, but overall, what I'm saying is, when I'm volunteering, it's just not Black people. But the one gentleman that I'm speaking of is Black. And it's not a lot of Black people that are billionaires, millionaires, so and I think his name is John, and I might be wrong.
He's a good guy.
Got a good name anyway, huh?
Yeah, right.
Got a good name.
But I think he's the one that actually paid off some of the kids at Morehouse.
Mm-hmm.
student loans, and I don't know, so I know he did that, but I follow him because you want to see what he does, to see what he does. And I personally would mimic someone or follow someone that has walked the walk, but is trying to show you. Because my choices might not always be the great ones, but if you follow someone or maybe know of that person, who knows? You could be the next person, if you do the right things, but it's choices.
I agree with you. Choices, and the whole thing of self-efficacy is about making choices that are going to benefit you. So this is why I was going back and asking how much of our thinking is learned or conditioned. What I've noticed, in doing what I've been doing for as long as I've been doing it, I try to remove color and everything. I look at things objectively because when I look at a person, I look at them and say, what is it this person's capable of doing, period. I don't want to look at they'll sell me in all the reasons they can't. And sometimes I'll be a total butthole. And I'm sure some of you can attest to that. I've been a good butthole. I do it very well. And I'll be a butthole to go ahead and say, I don't want to hear those things. You know what I mean? What we're talking about is moving forward. So how much of that thinking is conditioned in our thought process to say, hey, the narrative now is that things are tough. The narrative, that things have always been tough. What you say? Go ahead, Dee.
So whenever I try not to look at color. True. But what I am going to say is, everybody's impressed or to some degree to be able to say, hey, I can pull myself out of this. I can do this with the choices again.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe it's just who you surround yourself with as well.
I agree with you.
Okay. And when you say, are we conditioned? Of course, to a certain degree, we are. Because when you start, let's just say, you see how your parents, how they do their things. Again, I'm just starting from A to B. You see how your parents handle their finances or got to get you where you are, or just push you along the way out of the house or whatever. This is what you need to do. Well, that's what I'm doing to my daughter. I'm showing her, hey, this is what you should be doing. And these are the choices that you should be making. But does that mean she's going to follow that?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So we're taught a certain way, but it's up to us to be able to develop into greater. And I'm not, again, talking about Black people. I'm just talking about in general.
People in general. Well, good. Because, I've always had the deepest respect for you.
Because, yeah. Okay. I understand.
So let me ask you this question, then. Has the American dream changed, or has it gotten even harder to achieve what we're looking to achieve?
I think the ball has moved.
Anyone?
The ball has moved.
I wasn't going to say too much. When Diddy, Diddy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm animated, you guys, but you can always chime in.
Let me interject this here real quick before we go any further, because I don't even know what the stats are, how many people are looking. But I want to say, hey, Didi, I tell you, is a unique person. So whoever's watching this, if you want someone that can get things done and get it done to the nth degree with a high level of success, she's a lady for you. I would be there's not too many people that I would write a letter of reference for. Didi is one of them. Okay, so I want to put that out there in case I say something and people say, well, he might be at odds with her. No, because Didi is the bomb diggity. And this is my endorsement of Didi, and I'll always endorse Didi. All right, so going back to what she was saying, how much time of the day, because you're talking about your daughter, I worry about my kids, how much time of the day do we spend combing through other people's thoughts to confirm or justify our own thinking and choices? For example, literature, TV, podcasts, memes, websites. We have learned how to communicate with each other at the speed of light. How much of that is really affecting things when it comes down to the narrative of, hey, woe is me, things are bad? because we've got I mean, America, there's a reason why there's so many people pouring into this country, and I'm one of them. All right. To just let you know, John Robinson, first generation immigrant. All right. I'm an immigrant. There, I said it. All right. But I got my passport. I got my green paper, so nobody call ICE on me. All right. But we came over here looking for the land of honey, for the dreams and all that stuff. My dad wanted better for us, and I'm still a believer of that. And Dee, like I said with Dee, not just to go ahead and keep shining on you, Dee a rare breed. So I know what you're saying, your daughter. How much of the stuff that she goes to school that's online, it says that's saying to her and communicating to her that this is not really, that you are really a victim of things, young lady. This needs to change first. This needs to happen, and allows her to focus on other things other than building her self-efficacy.
If you're asking me, I mean, I allow her to do her own thing, but then I interject when I need to. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, I know how you interject.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not that one, because she has to live, and the choices that she makes. Okay, if she does something that okay, you can learn from, that's how you do it. So I mean, if she does something that's a mistake, hey, this is you I guess you have to look at different I'm hoping I'm answering your question. But I think where I try to be that parent, or to interject and say, hey, you might want to do it, give a couple of different scenarios. I always try to give scenarios for her. And through those, I think she makes the right decisions for
Well,
her.
I guess to make it like, does she feel that she could get ahead, that she can have a great
Okay.
life?
I think so, yeah. I think how can I say it? The career that she's in currently, she can. Will it be stressful? Absolutely. Because she's actually in nursing. And I don't care what it looks like, keep going. It's not going to be easy. If you have obstacles, work through those obstacles. I mean, who said whenever you have obstacles, you just keep going, you're a step away from actually to your goal. So my thing is, can she get ahead? Without me and her dad, I'm sure it would have been difficult. The resources that she has available to her, I think that is why she's capable of doing what she's doing. Because if she were to do it by herself, it would have been a lot more stressful. So I do believe proper resources for children, taking away resources for those, anybody. I'm not saying anybody. When we went to school, we had resources, right? Pell Grants, all types of resources. Those are not being given to the, have y'all not heard about the things being taken away from the kids? So right now, NAACP, they have AXO. They actually have children doing writing speeches to be able to get certain things, but it's not easy. But if you really want to do what or become successful, you're going to have to go through the hell, the fire, the storm, and you got to weather it. So that's what Simone was saying. So we're all saying the same thing.
Is it a prerequisite though?
What do you mean
Hey, to have, you can't plant rice and pray for corn. That's part of the whole thing. Is you work hard to get things.
I believe nothing is given to you unless you're a billionaire. But how did you become a billionaire?
Exactly. I mean, that wasn't just give a billionaire. It wasn't just giving it to them.
They're not going to give it to you. So But again, I've never wanted to build anything with my daughter and say, hey, I'm gonna give it to you. You got to earn it. And so, but the resources, is it hard to get ahead? Of course it is. But it's how you make your choices. You got pros and cons. You got a whole bunch. So with what Winfred was saying, you do have to prioritize. You do have to put things in perspective. But our
Yeah, 'cause
kids don't know that.
yeah, but we living in a society now where hard work isn't guaranteed success anymore.
It isn't.
I work
It
hard all
isn't.
my life.
Well, was it ever guaranteed? Was it ever guaranteed that hard work was going to allow you to be successful?
Nothing
No,
is nothing is guaranteed.
Correct.
I've never said anything was guaranteed.
No, but what? Because I went for it. Not trying to create animosity, but I was saying that thought process is like, well, if you work real hard, you'll get this. It was never guaranteed.
it was never guaranteed, but that was etched in our minds our whole lives. Work hard, get this. Work hard, get that. Work hard, get that. But it doesn't come until one knows what success looks like to them. My success is different from my colleague's success. So what does success look like to them, and what's getting ahead to look like to them? Some of those resources are for people are the SNAP, WIC, all those other things that they can get without having to work hard. COVID defined America in a very, very, very bad way, because it taught Americans how to make money, get money without doing the least bit of work. And so now that's COVID's long and gone, and now it's time to get back to work. We are talking about our generation that's coming up now. Hey, they don't want to work hard. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to do all the things in order to make it successful. So is working hard guarantee for success anymore? I beg to differ.
Well, I'm just letting you know that the technology that the generational children have at their fingertips, they'll never work hard. So that's why they have this whole idea that it's going to fall into their hands.
Isn't that what they were told, though?
Who said that?
I mean, the narrative. Isn't that the narrative they're told?
Well, let me jump in. So
Thank you.
At any point when new technology came out, people kind of said the same thing with the cell phones, and now there's there were the analog black and white cell phones, the Nokia, the candy bar style, and then there was color and there was internet on it, and it was going to do all of this extra stuff. The bottom line is this: in my opinion, humble. Hard work is hard work. It does not guarantee success, but if you don't have the daily habits to get you where you need to go, you're never going to get there, no matter how hard you work. It's just like going to the gym. You're not going to build muscle if you never tear the muscle down by lifting the weights and then getting sore and getting your diet right. These are all disciplines that have to be taught. It is not automatic. It is not intuitive. It takes effort, intention, long term. It is not listen, I'll go to the gym one day and I'll lift really heavy and then go weigh myself 2 days later and be surprised that I haven't lost weight yet. And it's stupid. It just doesn't make sense, because it takes sustained effort over time and a commitment to say, here's the goal I'm going to accomplish. And that's how you become a millionaire. That's how you become someone who's got 25,000 saved, and then you keep doing that, and then you've got 50,000 saved, and then you've got 100,000 invested, and then that's invested into something else, and then you're a billionaire. So regardless, principles are still principles, and they work regardless of true principles. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, the Bible is full of principles that work. Whether you believe in God or not, they work. And if you look at business books and personal development books, they are actually taking principles from the Bible and just taking the Bible stuff out of it, the scriptures, and saying, hey, do this, like like Dee Dee, what you and I do, or I'm sure more than just us. Oh, all of us probably here. Given it shall be given. When I didn't have a job, I knew I need to go give. I need to give my time. I need to do all of this stuff. When I was running for office and I needed money, after that thing was done, I give to everybody. Everybody. Any campaign, not political campaign, like the Alzheimer's Association and all of these different groups that I know require funding for it to work. So, and I know it's going to come back to me, and I don't do it for that purpose, but it's a principle that's going to be true. That if you follow this, then this will happen. But you've got to stay focused, and you've got to stay committed to whatever that principle is. So hard work, absolutely. You must work hard. It's a non-negotiable. You must. But bigger than that is your daily discipline, your commitment, your decision to stay focused in spite of what's going on, in spite of who's trying to get you to come out and hang out with them or whatever. Focus as long as it takes to get where you want to go.
I love the people that I hang out with when I do hang out, because like you were saying, Dee Dee, we're all saying the same thing. I just see where America has gotten off that narrative, the narrative that brought my family to this country. They gotten out that narrative, and it's detrimental to the kids. They're not growing up with the grit that was passed on to me. I try to pass it on to my kids. I found more obstacles trying to teach them the values and principles that I felt that they needed to be able to go ahead and be successful citizens in the United States than it was when I was growing up. The anger, the animosity, and this is the whole reason for Grow Source. When I had the kids and I was at the dealership, man, I didn't plan to have kids, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you my whole story. But once my kids came into play, it was like it was all about them. Because that's the way I was raised. It's all about you. We're moving to America so you can have a better life, so you can't complain. You know what I'm saying? This is what Dad's doing this so you can have a better life, so you better not mess it up. I think that everyone on this panel right now has had that, because there's something about us that's the same. And I was hoping we'd get different people on here. One of the things, everyone in here has a high level of self-efficacy. Why? Because everyone's in here has been in 100% commission-based job. That in itself takes a lot of self-efficacy to go out and say, you know what, today I start with zero. I go out and earn. I got to go out and start from zero, and I got to earn. There's nothing promised. So I got to go out and get it. I got to get it done. So kudos to you. I appreciate all of you. And these are the things that we want to pass on when we talk about Grow Source. And I hope Shaq can chime in on this, because he's got a brilliant, I guess, a program you want to say, or a thought process when it starts going in there. When you start doing this self-audit, maybe you can start telling us a little bit more about it, Winfred, about the self-audit, because I think this is important. And our kids are not being taught these things in school. When I was going to school, they were taught these things. School today, I don't know what they're teaching. And before I take it over to Shaq, I got to go back to Dee Dee, because she gave me the.
It was when you said school, and I went somewhere to one of my program. Anyways, last night I went somewhere, and it was basically indivisible community thing. But anyways, they were saying, Dee Dee, you should run for school board. I'm like, you wouldn't want me to do that, because because one, I'm old school. Two, I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. But we still have to teach them. I think there should be a basic. But banning something only, you're not teaching. You're not teaching when anytime that you're banning something, right? But here goes. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. When it comes to school, I'm very passionate about it, because you can't teach a child everything, but there's a basic that you have to have. Okay. And I think right now school is totally It's a waste of time for these kids to get up and go to school because I don't think they're teaching them anything.
Oof, that's heavy.
I don't think they're, and if
That's
the
heavy.
and if the parents aren't teaching their children or giving them that book, I don't know. I'm just saying that. So, when it comes to school, I'm very afraid because our generation, my mom being a baby boomer, the way those teachers were committed to them, because it was like, or I like to say the way they made sure they were dressed or they read or they had the basic skills, our kids are not getting that. So that's where when you said school, that kind of sort of got me.
Yeah,
I can tell.
yeah, the education is there. We just got to make sure that we helping our kids with supplemental education and things of that nature. Because when you talk about, man, hard work, I look at it like this: it's strategic hard work. So, I teach financial discipline, education and skills. I teach my son relationship, and I teach them the very most important thing that we don't teach our kids nowadays is ownership.
I'm not talking about us, honey. I'm not, because we're going to teach our kids. We're going to teach me, like all these people on this panel that me and you, we teaching our kids. It's the people and we're only a few.
Yeah,
oh
but
okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
But yes, it's ownership. But we gotta help employ what our knowledge is to people around us, because it takes a community. How Hillary Clinton said, it takes a village to raise kids nowadays. Man, it's hard. It's hard to go out and when you're going out there and you're dealing with these kids and these teenagers and you ask them, hey man, what have you eaten today? Well, Mr. Lee, I haven't eaten anything. So no, it's a wonder you can't focus or you can't be steady in the car. So let's just and try to help you. I'm building these kids up and I'm pouring into them for hours at a time, and then I let them go back into the environment in which they came and the conditions in which they live in, man. And it's horrible. And until somebody steps up and say, hey, you know what, I got to go beyond the kid and maybe go into that network, into that home and teach them the financial discipline that it's going to take in order to be average, or teach them or give them some skill sets or some education that's going to make them more than average, or build relationships and connection with other people, or networking with other people that can help them obtain ownerships and teach these guys how to be patient and so they can just drastically change their trajectory in which they're going. It's tough. I can talk about it all day because I'm not average. I don't claim to be average.
What? Look, Mount St. Helens about to blow.
And also, Johnny, we talk about when we talk about personal development, man.
Right, right.
So I built this audit because I do some personal training, some one-on-one coaching, and then I got a network of sales individuals who come in, man, and they come in for a job. Hey, I want to come in and sell cars because it's get rich quick. That's what they heard. I graduated at the top of my class. I had a recruiter call me from Charlotte. Hey, I want to hire you to work for our brokerage firm. We're going to come up there and interview you, making $200,000 a year. This is coming out of college. And, I turned them down, went and got my master's degree, man. But I walked on the lot. Me and my fiance, and we walked on the lot, and we was looking for a car. And the salesman made a mistake. You done screwed up, right? He done told me how much he made. I'm like, what? You made that much money? So I was going in the Air Force to become an officer, all set up for Air Force school, the officer school. And I saw an ad in the paper. And it said, hey, make a lot of money, free health care, get a car to drive. So I went there for a summer job, and I made so much money in that first 6 months. I called a recruiter up and said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on the Air Force right now and do my thing, because I was in a society that didn't put a cap listen what I'm getting ready to say, that didn't put a cap on how much money I can make. They didn't cap me at what my value was. And then I learned the things, the difference between a job, a career, and a livelihood. A job, you get paid by the hour. No matter how many hours you work, you don't get paid the same. A career is no matter how many hours you work, you make one salary. It's a salary. That's what we learn how. That's what they teach us in college is to go and get a career. So now I'm capped because no matter how many hours I work, I'm still going to get paid the same versus getting paid by the hour. But then I fell into the dealership where a young gentleman told me, hey, man, this is a livelihood. That means, listen to what I'm going to say, that you have the opportunity to make money with every palm you press, with every hand you shake, with every person you say hi to. You have the opportunity of making money, and that's what I saw, and that's why I decided to go in the car business. So, props to each and every one of you. Hey, man, we just got to go get it. We got to keep getting, and we got to bring those along with us to go get it with us, man, because it's hard. I promise you it's hard. The good old American dream is not what it used to be anymore. It's not what it used to be, and it's becoming harder and harder and harder. And if we're not deep diving into our kids' lives, because our kids are the future, they set the trajectory on how we're going to move and how we're going to go forward. And if they're not there, we're not going to get there. So let's make sure that we do these things in order so that way we can answer that question intelligently. Can America still achieve the American dream nowadays?
For me, because I want to go back to Didi here in a little bit, but for me, I just see things differently. For me, it's gotten easier. It's gotten so much easier. But again, the people have just changed. And this is what I want to say to Didi. Didi, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to hear whatever it was that you was thinking. Before I say that, I want to say it's gotten easy because I feel like, look, we wouldn't have this platform to be able to share the thought processes that we have right now and be able to spread it with everyone else. Out there right now, there's somebody thinking right now that's got their head, a bunch of garbage in their head, and they're questioning and doubting themselves. And because we got on here today, they may ask themselves a question of whether they can be better or just look up the word self-efficacy or go back to their death scroll or whatever it is that they do. You know what I'm saying? But because we came out here and we said some things, I'm hoping that we put some people to think. Going back to Didi, you have this uncanny ability to lead. And in the volunteer work that you're doing, I really like for us to get together whenever we can. Because, you know damn well I've told you this from way down the road, how much respect I've always had for you. Because you was always getting it. I remember while you was working at the dealership, you was going to school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I would try to rattle your cage.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
I try to rattle your cage every time I get a chance because I want to see what you're made of.
I didn't let you do that.
Say what? No, you gave me the look. All right, Mr. Robinson. But anyway,
I'm gonna say this. When you look at a career, of course, you want to do something that you love to do, or it's not where it feels like work. It's a passion. And so for me, it's always, networking with someone, talking. And that's just in my nature. So, and again, I'm taking a class for real estate. So, that's just to get around in here, but it's what you want to do. It's what you want to, I never stop. I'm volunteering, but I'm always doing something. So for me, everything you guys have said, you're spot on. I just feel like, it's the choices that we make and how you present yourself, and no matter how hard it is, you just got to keep going. And you just gotta, there are some people that's to be an obstacle, and then there's some people that are there to help you along the way. So, but it is hard. But
I would like to see us work together. Unfortunately, Simone had to go because I really wanted to give her
Yeah.
few minutes to share her thoughts. She had to go, but Simone is in real estate. Here we are talking. Tommy's in that real estate world, but here's the deal: we need to work better together as a collective. I know that we could do more,
Right.
and as a collective, I know working with you, Didi, we can move ahead. There's things that you've got in your head that I would love to be able to go ahead and hear.
Okay.
And there's fuel that can be given to you that I know will launch you because I know how you do things.
Yep.
So I appreciate you being here. And I want you to look at the possibilities. You know, Tommy, you and I have talked in the past too. And the thing is, collectively, we get together. We are the example. We could be the example, I would say, that people need to see. And when I say things are easier, we elected to make this decision to get on here and do this. There's people out there that need that ear. They need to hear what it is we're talking about. They need to see some other alternatives. They need to hear a different narrative. They need to ask questions to find out what is benefits to them. Because they need to ask themselves, what's the benefit of me accepting your thought process, Didi? What's the benefit to me adopting your thought process? And what's the benefit to you accepting my thought process or adapting my thought process? How can we come together and make things happen? Because at the end of the day, it always takes people. And as a collective, if we get together, we ain't gonna change the world. But we can change the group of people that we elect to be on that. Like you said, Didi, it's the people we surround ourselves with. And if we dedicate, going back to what Simone said, if we dedicate ourselves to doing things a certain way, we can make things happen for the collective group that we're in. This is how I say things have gotten easier. Because you don't have to move like an individual no more. Here we are. We have the ability to communicate with each other with the speed of light. What do we elect to do with that communication? Some of us have went out and said, I'm going to be an influencer and make millions of dollars telling everybody they should eat rice-a-roni. You know what I'm saying? Or play with this toy or do this or do that. You know, and people tuned in. No one makes a billion, no one makes a billion, and no one makes any money without people. Bottom line. So nothing has really changed. Although things have changed, nothing has really changed. It's always whatever it is you want, it's always on the other side of another person. The question is, are we collectively using all the tools that we have at our disposal to make the things happen? Or are we listening to the narrative? Like I said, how much of the day is spent combing through other people's thoughts on that death scroll? You know, getting in there. How many people tuned in tonight and left saying, wait a minute, this self-efficacy thing, let me look it up. What are these guys on? What are they about? Can I get together with them? Will they add to what it is we're doing so we all collectively can climb? You know, or will they go back? It's kind of like going to those seminars. Tommy brought up PI. That was least paid for that for us. Because he was like, I'm going to invest in my people. I haven't seen anyone else do that. I'm going to invest in my people. You know, one of those things, one of those kits, you know how much those things cost, Tommy? Just one. When they had a investment in excellence, that was the one in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they moved up, to the other one was something to do with excellence. Anyway, at the beginning, each one of those kits that Leith bought for each one of those for each one of the employees was about $750. Was $750. And then when we had the facilitators come down, they paid for that. No, never asked. They really invested in us. And I don't know how many people took heed of that. Because I'm trying to remember what the second one was, because the first one was investment in excellence in the 90s, and then there was another one for the 2000s. Because I believe Didi and Winfred, you were exposed to PI as well, correct?
Yeah, I was exposed to PI and been into a lot of those trainings.
Right. And their facilitation course was great. That's one of the things that a lot of things they say was on my grandmother's thing. This is why I do what I do now, was because, hey, is right in line with what I'm thinking about. And what I'm telling you guys here and everyone else who's listening or goes out on this later on, let us get together and let's start DMPing people. DMPing. Tommy, we work together, we get you more contracts. Dee, I need to let people know how good you are at what you do. I want to create a band that you can play on so people can hear your damn instrument. Because it was Winford. When they were hiring you, Winford came. You remember that Winford?
Mm-hmm.
He came to me and he goes, "There's this girl named Dee, man. She's blase, this. She's going to school and blase, this, man. But hey, you like her, man. She needs to be on a squad." And that's why I pulled you. That's why I would twist you. And every test I could throw at you. This was Dee Daniels then. She came out smoking on. Impressed from day one. And then I used to talk about Miss Daniels. I knew your mama without even knowing your mama, because you'd say things like, "Oh, Miss Daniels ain't going for that." You don't remember that, do you? "Oh, Miss Daniels wouldn't be happy with that." I'm like, "Who you talking about?" She goes, "My mama." And remember, you would tell Winford, "Oh, Winford, you keep talking such and such. I'm gonna have to go ahead and tell Betty about that."
That's right.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy, we've sat down and talked. We've known each other forever, man. I'm glad to see you doing what it is you're doing, but I'm telling you, if we can get it together on a collective, because what I'm hoping to do is we can get back again. Because next week we're gonna bring in a group called Chosen Resources. Kim Shaw will with us, and we're gonna talk about some of the resources that are out there that's helping people. So Dee, I hope for you to come back. They help out veterans. There's a lot of stuff out there helping people out, but I think we've gotten to the point where we're helping people so much. We're helping the baby so much. We're carrying the baby so much. And I'm going to tell you this story here, and I'm going to pass it on to one of y'all to close. I was going out with this girl. I ain't going to mention her name. She had a kid. This is when I was in the Army. She had a kid. This kid was a big dude, man. It's a baby. It's a big dude. If you're out there listening, you know who you are. But yeah, I ain't going to say no name. I didn't know she had a kid. But anyway, I digress. So I was like, "Yo, and I'm not gonna say the kid's name, how old is dude?" And she's like, "Dude's like so many months old." I'm like, "Yo, he should be walking, right?" She goes, "No, he ain't walking. The doctor said ain't nothing wrong with him. That my sister, it was her kid. I thought it was a sister kid. So the doctor says my sister needs to put him down. Because she carries him so much, the kid didn't want to walk. All right, the kid didn't want to walk, and this kid got so big, the dude looked like he'd go into the doggone kitchen and cook up some spaghetti and meatballs on his own, like he could be wearing a diaper, sitting there packing some meatballs like this, going, "What's up?" Get up on the chair and drop him in the pan. He was huge. And I'm like, "What do you mean he's got nothing?" "Yeah," she said, "she just carries him around." I didn't think that was even possible. This is when I was in the Army, and I'm like, whoa. Psychology has always been my thing, is to look at it and says, what is it that people think? What drives people? I really do firmly believe that we have to get together and do this more, and we have to do our part to help people out their self-efficacy. So my kids will have a better future. Your kids will have a better future. Because if we don't, they'll be lost. There's going to be the haves and the have-nots, and if it's going to be that way, I'd rather my kids be on the have side. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point right now, there's so much help out there, the baby don't want to walk no more. And let me tell you something. When the baby don't want to walk, the baby ain't going to run.
He ain't going to run.
Ain't going to run. With that, we're going to throw that self-audit on there, and I'm going to pass it over to Winford. I'm going to say goodnight because, I'll suck the air out the room if I can.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Hey, enjoy this, man. Hey, this is great stuff, guys. When you look at it all, the totality of it all, man, we as a community of people have to come together as a partnership, man, and beginning to build the future. And we can't, one person can't build it on its own. So we're gonna have to do it together, So with that said, hey, I love you guys, enjoy you guys, man. Go on and check out the self-audit. It's really deep diving. It takes you through the aspect of your life and what your goals are, what your wins are, your losses are. And then it's a 90-day audit for you to self-reflect, fill it out, and then 90 days after constructing your audit, look at it from 90 days and put the two together. And then every 90 days, it causes you to rethink and to change your mindset, your trajectory as to where you're going, because it's all about the state of mind. Out in the world you find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind, and life battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later the person who wins is a person who thinks he can. So let's do this all together and let's move forward. And Tommy, I'm gonna leave you with the last word.
Can't hear you.
Still can't hear you.
While Tommy gets his technical stuff up, Didi, let's hear from you. Oh, don't talk about Didi. You just muted yourself, girl. Take yourself off mute.
I don't have anything to say. I've said enough tonight, and I think it is a great idea of what you're doing. And, of course, it's always the mindset. And when you get around like-minded people, you either, you rise to the top with that. So I'm done. Yeah.
You got a lot to
Can you
offer,
guys
Didi.
can you guys hear me now? Or
Yeah, hear you now, Tommy. Hear you real good.
okay. I don't think anybody can say it any better than what you just said, Winfred. So, and it's even to add what you said, it's perseverance, never give up. So I was watching or listening to something the other day, and the guy I was watching and listening to was watching. He was a really smart guy, but he said in life experience has showed him the people that are successful aren't necessarily the smartest person in the room, or in whatever it is they're doing. If they're an actor, they're not necessarily the best looking person or whatever. He said it's the person that just doesn't give up, that just keeps going no matter what. He said they're usually the ones that are successful. And it's up to everybody to define what success looks like for them. People try to measure success against like what success looks like for you, or what success looks like for Johnny, or what success looks like for Didi, and that's maybe not necessarily what success would look like for me. So you have to define what success looks like for yourself. And then what you're talking about, the 90-day audit, allows you to compete with yourself and not compete with anybody else. Because if you start trying to measure up against somebody else, you're always going to fall short. Because usually the person you're measuring yourself against is working their face off, measuring themselves against themselves, and they don't even know you exist. They're taking charge of what they do and what they need to do, and they're on a trajectory that you can't even begin to understand. So you can't compete with everybody else. You have to kind of set your own standard and figure out what's right for you, and make it happen the way you make it happen. So, but can you still get ahead today? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Glad man. Well, I say good night to you guys. Next week, I say we'll be gone again, talking with Chosen Resources, and we'll start talking about some of the resources we have here to help people move forward. I'd like to see you guys back again, at least chiming in, because there's something about you that other people need to see. You could be a catalyst to help other people move forward. You have to believe that you could do that. That's self-efficacy. You affect change. You do. Everyone who's been on here tonight, thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Tommy. Thanks, Didi.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you
I enjoyed
for
meeting
inviting
everybody.
me. See you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.